Next victim. Eric McKenna.
Don't hurt me too bad, please.
Be gentle.
I really need it.
They're ruthless.
Yes.
So, I was gonna come in front of y'all and make the same request, basically. First, I want to back up and just explain the breakdown of the Department of Accounting and Budgeting. So, when we broke the budget apart and separated everybody, of course, the mayor stated his budget, as did his secretary. And then I've taken over with me, myself, obviously, payroll, purchasing, and accounts payable. It's just some part-time money. But there's only 4 full-time employees that run all of the county's accounting and budgeting department. So, with that being said, between ARPA, all the grant money that's coming through, and all the things that our office has to handle, we are understaffed. We had an additional full-time position. That person left us. The previous mayor thought that money would be better suited as part-time money instead of a full-time employee. So some was given back, some was put over in part-time. We really have a need. We're kind of drowning in the accounting budget department. So I've always just covered it. I've always worked over and made it work, but I'm about to max out my comp hours. As of June 30th, we're not allowed to carry more than 240 comp hours over the next year. But that's exactly where I'm at, and it's March. So, and we have not got through budget hearings yet, which is typically when I pick up a lot of them. So I probably should have brought this to you all a lot sooner, but my apologies for not. But I would like to have a deputy finance director position approved and considered for the next fiscal year.
What would the cost be? How would you break that down?
The cost that I would like to see is something on the upper end of the scale, which would be a salary grade 10, 11, or 12 is what I would like to be considered. I would like this person to be a degree person, preferably a bachelor's or associate's. Of course, we would always put in there the exemption for somebody with X amount of years of relevant work experience. But I really like this person to have some type of a finance degree. I would like to foresee them filling in for myself if I was out, had to take vacation. If somebody from the finance department would still be present at a meeting. If you had questions, they could hopefully fill in for me and answer them for you. But also, as we've dealt with some employee personnel matters, realize just how thin we're hanging on by. And I would like this person to take some of my day-to-day workload off so that I can go learn more all of the people who work in my department's positions, so that if they need to take off for whatever personal matters come up, or just utilizing their vacation that they earn, I can fill in for them, or this person as well. Basically, we'd like to be interchangeable so that people earn vacation, great, but you have to be able to actually take it. And quite often, everybody in this department takes their vacation based around their workload, and that's not really fair. You shouldn't have to plan your vacation or your sickness around when some deadline's coming up, and we bounce from one deadline to the next constantly.
You talking about 11, 12, 13 bracket?
10 to 11 or something.
Yeah, what pay scale would that be on?
So the 10 would start out at 44,254. The 11 would start out at 48,664, and the 12 would start out at 53,509.
How much on the last one?
53,509.
So, right now, we don't have any part-time employees, correct?
We have one,
Who's your one?
Miss Glass.
Yeah.
Okay, so but we lost Donna.
We lost Donna, we
So
lost
that's,
Martha.
so you've got that money, where's it at? And then you got Martha, so.
We do have some part-time money this year, and I would be very open to foregoing some of it back to help fund it, but I don't have enough to fully fund it.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's 2 part-time employees that are no
Yes.
longer employed, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So what were their average salaries as part-time?
And it's hard to have a set average. Originally, this wit only worked 3 days a week, but then, like I said, filling in for other outages that we've had, she was forced to work a lot of times 5 days a week. So it varied significantly from week to week, just what was needed. But she stepped up and helped get us through a time, and may have to do it again.
What was budgeted for the part-time
Yeah.
line item? What was that budget?
Give me just 1 second. $49,053.
And that money would no longer be needed after we
Well,
hire
no.
full-time?
One part-time employee is still here,
So
but
who's
she's
your
limited.
part-time is still here?
Evelyn.
Evelyn Clancy.
Oh, okay. But you had Donna, who
Had
went to
Donna.
the street department, the highway department. You
Correct.
had Martha, who is not coming back, is my understanding.
I
So
think
that's
Donna.
two there, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's hard to say how long Evelyn will be here. I'd love to keep her forever, but, you know, she's getting up in years. So, you know, that could take up some of that slack. And Eric and I have talked about this at length. I mean, we've been hit by a lot of different things this year that may or may not happen in the future, but we have to be prepared for it. Steph was out for a considerable amount of time. I was out. Teresa's been helping her daughter, and her mom passed away last night. So, you know, she's been dealing with that. So it's
And
tough to
she's
keep
what,
everything.
60,
Mhm.
she's what, 62?
Teresa?
Yeah,
I don't
60,
know.
62.
I don't know. I can't ask.
Oh, okay. I do.
So,
Evelyn's 2 years older
How
than
pretty,
I am.
Nancy.
It would scare you to death if I told you.
I know how old you are.
so we do, you know, we do run short, and the staff has been great covering for each other. But like Eric said, if he could have some time to learn the personnel side of it, we wouldn't have to have a part-time person over there. Probably he's taken a lot of that slack already, and you know, learn the rest of it. And they work hard and work long, they really do.
Is this something, Eric, that you would want us to make a decision on today or pass it along, let the budget committee work on it through the budget process and then bring it back to us?
I was hoping that I could get this committee to pass it on for consideration during the budget hearing process. That's what my goal was. Because I feared if I brought it into budget hearings, they refer back to personnel and I'd just be that much farther behind. So I was trying to take personnel first. I saw there was already a meeting scheduled. And then if I could get it in front of the budget committee during budget hearings, we could see how it all fits together for them. That was my hope anyway.
Or what you're saying is that if when you bring it before the budget committee, you can tell the budget committee it's already passed the personnel committee. That
We
would
recommend
encourage
to send
them
it
to
the-
support it.
To the, yeah,
That's
Or
basically what
possible
you're saying.
funding.
yeah. And then look at the budget and see if it's there.
Yeah. See how it'll fit during budget hearings.
The two part-time employees that are no longer here, what was their salaries that they were receiving?
And it was an hourly rate, and I'd hate to misquote them. I want to say 15 and 20, but I'd have to look to make sure.
So we're looking at probably just an estimated 35,000.
Is that 15 or 20 per employee?
Per hour. Well,
15 per hour for one and 20 per hour for the other.
Yeah.
Well, it comes down to the amount we allocated was 49,000, right?
Right.
For,
So
for one
I mean,
position?
For all
for
part-time.
all part-time.
For
For
all
all
part-time.
part-time,
Okay.
yeah. Whether it was one or whether it was 20, that's the budget we had to live within.
So I think that's kind of where my hang-up is I can see the need to have a backup. That makes sense. I think the hard part for me is adding another full-time and keeping the part-time. I understand.
When they
Well, not all
we had
part-time.
three. We had three part-time. We had Donna, Martha, and Evelyn. So Donna and Martha are no longer part-time. So you just got,
So you're gonna.
so you just got Evelyn now as part-time.
You're gonna use those two part-time,
No.
Shift that salary up to full-time.
What of it would, I mean, it probably would cover in its entirety, but yes.
yeah.
Well, if you took the $49,000 for part-time, or I guess those three employees,
Yeah, we can't take it all,
You
Charlie.
can't take
because we
Evelyn,
still
because
have
Evelyn's still here.
yeah, well, yeah, she's still here.
And she'd be
Part
a
of that
phenomenal teacher for this
49,000
person.
for a pay grade 10, that's 48.6. Would that balance out without increasing?
Well, you're still looking at moving all of the part-time, and we can't do
that
still
would be-
are paying Evelyn.
So how much are we looking to move? That really,
It's hard to say because their hours vary.
what do we have a range, like 20 to 30,000 or?
I would still need to keep about 20,000 in part-time to make sure that she can work her hours. Now,
So
she's
we're looking
limited.
at moving 29,000 out of the part-time and putting that toward a full-time position.
Yeah, but that's a budget committee decision during budget hearings.
Yeah.
Did the part-time people, did they qualify for health insurance, things like that?
No,
No.
no, in this
No,
position.
that's why Donna moved. She needed insurance, so she went to the highway department. But she's still available to us if we need her. And it's possible that we do, considering that Teresa's, going to be on bereavement for a while. And there's payroll coming up.
The full-time slot would qualify for it.
Yes.
So we've got the hidden insurance factor we don't.
Yeah, again, we can't pinpoint insurance because you don't know what they need.
And these numbers you quoted, that's starting, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes. Yeah, that's
So what would they top out at?
10 tops out at 60,683, 11 tops out at 66,740, and 12 tops out at 73,403.
Is this starting the 44, is that with the degrees, the bachelor and associate?
Yes.
Our scale doesn't do any different for the degree. You just rank them higher accordingly if they have it, but it doesn't have the kicker like the sheriff's department scale does, where you get a 3 or 5% depending on your degree.
So the higher top out numbers are basically like if they transfer from somewhere or from somewhere else or.
Yeah, if they were already a county employee, then their years of service is transferred.
Again, it's just concept we're looking at, not necessarily, you all don't need to decide funding.
So it sounds like what it comes down to, we're looking at potentially increasing the budget by 15. 29 out of part-time and then adding money to cover the rest. If we do 29.
Roughly, not knowing
And if that
the
is
total cost of the
starting off
insurance,
at
yes.
grade 10.
So what happens today if something happened and you were out of work? Who runs that department, Mark, or do we have any backup right now to do what you do?
Well, go ahead.
Evelyn would do pieces of it and what she could, but there's processes that have changed since I've been here that I would be the only one who would really know how those things work. Evelyn also can't really do like Donna did, where you just agree to pay her more to come in. Evelyn is what they call a return to work, and so she's limited to TCRS how often she can work. So I'll drive carefully.
Some of us will.
But I mean, worst comes to worst, we would have to call on former people in this position.
Well, and when unexpected happens like that, a lot of times I think CTAS will help on a temporary basis to fill in the void.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that we have ways to, we know the government's going to continue to operate like county would. But it is a big risk. I mean, I think it's a fair point. I don't like the idea of adding that much to the budget. It's hard for me to swallow, but I don't know, guys. Wish I had an answer, but I do see the need. I get it.
Well,
So
there
what are you
was,
asking of us today, to move it on to the budget committee? Is that what you're asking?
If you'd be so gracious to, yes, that's what I'd like. And then we can hammer out the numbers in more detail through the hearing process.
I'll make the motion to send it on to the budget committee for consideration on funding.
well, there's 4 that's here today that 4 or 5 years ago, we thought was put in place to where, and I know Eric, probably that didn't pertain to your job, but to do cross-training where people could move from one position to another. You remember that?
Yes, yes.
How's that worked out? I mean, we changed mayors, I mean,
The person that was the main focus of that is no longer with us. That's
I know
why.
that did come about, and, you know, we were assuming that people were gonna be cross-trained to do other jobs. And I know that worked pretty well when I worked on a public job, when we did that.
In some offices, it still does work great, but in the county budgeting, everybody's job is so unique. What each one of us does, somebody else picks it up at some point, I mean, we fit together. There's not really a lot of overlap. Nobody really does the same thing.
Yeah.
If you do purchasing, you don't know anything about payroll. If you do payroll, you don't know anything about purchasing. So that's why, in theory, if I was the one who was more cross-trained than everybody, and this new person was more cross-trained, hopefully we don't keep losing those people. But when we force that on one of our lower paid employees, as soon as a better opportunity was come available, and you can't blame somebody for that, they left and bettered themselves, and all that cross-training left with them.
I'm gonna second Josh's motion.
Okay, any more discussion?
How does the cross-training impact job separation of duties, things like that, as far as with auditors and stuff?
Audit likes you to always have checks and balances, which is a great program. You don't want any one person having too much power. So we always try to separate. If somebody creates the invoice and they don't create the check, if somebody creates the check, they don't sign the check. And in a perfect world, you always keep that as separate as you possibly can. But audit is very sympathetic to the fact that when you have unexpected absences, you have to keep the government rolling, as you said earlier. And so as long as you have, when you're fully staffed, you're making every effort to separate those as much as possible. They understand that you have to in a pinch. As long as whenever that goes away, you go back to your original processes.
Yeah.
But I mean, you have smaller offices in smaller counties that can't afford to have as many employees, and so you have some offices where one or two people does everything in the finance department.
So are you, with you having, and I understand why you have those, but do other employees, do they have that many comp hours?
No, I haven't launched it in this department. But others are starting to accumulate at rates that I fear they'll be in the same boat if we don't do something.
So if they're not cross-trained, why are they running into so many comp hours?
We have things periodically that come up workload wise. We're pretty much busy from the second we come in and second leave with the regular day-to-day business. And then when you throw in your quarterly routine, you throw in your calendar year end, when you throw in ACA reporting, W-2 reporting, 1099 reporting, when you throw in the budget, no extra days, there's no extra hours in the calendar for that. So we always just band together and make do. And the theory is you flex it back off at some other time when it's slower. The slower time never comes.
Do you need a step set for them to move forward? Because they didn't apply.
I guess it depends on what the personnel committee is comfortable with. She was asking, do I need a step set from you all for the budget committee to recommend or consider?
It's kind
Or
of
do you
hard to
want
do
to leave
that.
it?
It's kind of hard to do that with not knowing what degree they're going to have, or if you could, it's going to be kind of hard to do that.
So you're fine with sending it on to the budget as is, and then they can determine.
Now, I think there's a lot of work there's a lot to be worked out on the cost of this. And I think there's a lot of discussion needs to be had. So I'm comfortable with the motion, supporting the motion to move it forward for consideration from the budget committee. But I don't want to tie it up with any amounts right now. If somebody else wants to make that motion, you're welcome to, but I'm not.
Well, this is the same concept like we told Nancy. We can understand the need and we're approving the need, but make it clear that we are not approving any kind of budget.
Also, just a point of clarification, are you sending it to budget committee or for the budget committee at budget hearing time?
Yeah, I would say
I
hearing
think budget committee
consideration.
during budget hearing time.
Correct.
That's
Yes.
that's what I like to
So
see.
you want that part of your motion?
Yes. Yeah, that was the intent. Sorry.
So, motion to send it to the budget committee.
But during budget hearings, to be heard and considered during budget hearings.
Perfect.
Just no way of promising anything,
You gotta carry it out there.
but, huh?
You gotta carry it out there.
Yeah.
Would you, like if that goes to the budget hearings, would you have a better grasp on the health insurance potentially might cost at that time?
No, because I've never interviewed anybody without a promise that the job was actually going to be there, so no, I would still not have any control over that insurance cost.
But you would have a better idea where your budget's gonna be. And there
Yeah, yeah.
hopefully there's some more, like we can find a few more dollars within your budget to help cover some of this cost.
We can look.
Well, we all
We can
have,
look.
we all have to make sacrifices, and sometimes you gotta sacrifice one to get something else. And that's what I would like to see. But there'll be plenty more of that discussion during budget hearing.
Well, I see a staff that's quickly burning out. You know, we have to have some give in there somehow. Not only with the daily work, but when somebody's gone. It just, I don't want them to burn out so much that they leave. We've got good staff, and I don't want anybody thinking that we're not trying to help them out.
I agree.
And so the concept is that you're gonna, if you get this person in place, that you're gonna be cross-training everybody.
More so myself and that person.
Okay.
I don't want to burden payroll, purchasing, accounts payable more than what they're already doing, but this person and myself would be your cross-training pieces. As a supervisor, I don't really have any time to actually sit with my people because my workload is such that if I go sit with them, nobody's getting my work done.
Yeah, so who are you supervising?
I mean, I'm responsible for everybody in the county budget department, but I've never got to really sit down with them and say, show me what you do day in, day out.
Michelle and Becky.
And Teresa.
Teresa, Evelyn. I mean, their first report to them and then to me.
Okay, we got a first and a second. What's, you wanna do roll call?
Nancy Barker,
Yes.
Joshua Gill,
Yes.
Robbie Palmer,
Yes.
Charlie Packer left us. Robbie, not you. Jeff Barrett,
So we're just, so the motion's to just let the budget committee take a look at it, correct?
Budget hearing.
Your budget hearings. Okay.
yes,
I'll
is
let
that a
you-
yes? Glenda Davis.
Yes.
Thank you. I know that's not a
Fine,
promise
yes.
of the future, yes, but thank you
Motion
for
carries.
getting it started.